Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify is there to help you grow. Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
So, Archie Mootza, thank you so much for joining us today. Right now, the number 2 film on HBO Max. The only thing keeping you from number 1 was that little pesky under-budget film, Dune 2. Right. Keeping you from hitting that number 1 spot. But, first off, before we even get into the behind-the-scenes stuff and all that, how does it feel to have literally like the number 2 movie on one of the most popular streaming platforms in the planet?
I'm proud of it. I'm excited about it. I think it's thrilling. I mean, to be right behind Dune, like the biggest movie on earth, is like, and we're like the only documentary in the top 10 period. Everything else is like feature big budget film with actors and stuff. So I'm really proud. Archie, I know you do huge projects and stuff like that. You've probably accomplished that and much more before. But to me, I'm really happy about it. I can't ask for much more than that.
No, I'm like, when are we gonna be number 1? Come on.
Yeah.
It's all news. Yeah.
After this podcast.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. No, of course, it's super cool. And very proud of it and proud of the project. And you do a lot of projects and there's a lot of love, but there's even more hate, that comes out, and people just love to bash things. That's the way our society is. And I got to tell you, I scour through social media. I've maybe seen maybe 1 or 2 people negative, but it's like so overwhelmingly positive. It's crazy, which is great. It's encouraging that obviously, we made a great film here with, Muta Ali did a masterful job, and we're just so, proud of kind of everything, how it came together. And it was a long process to get here. This project took a long time, but we're really pleased with how it's been received. That's for sure.
I saw that they greenlit in 21, right? So it's been a few years. So I guess, Archie, did you have it and you found Muta, or Muta, was this your idea and you found Archie? How did the whole thing come?
No, Archie, I got a call from Scott Veltri, and I think the first meeting I had with Scott, it was Scott and Archie. And that was, I feel like, what was it? Was it early 2021 or?
Yeah, no, it was, I don't remember. Well, going way back, we did a project called McMillions that people enjoyed. And so Scott Veltri called me out of the blue, and he's a producer, very talented producer. And he's like, hey, I saw McMillions. I loved it. I have a crazy story about MoviePass. You remember that? Of course. I never subscribed to it, but I remember it. I was like, how the heck is this possible? Like, I remember a friend was like, sign up. And I was like, I'm not this seems shady. And so I never signed up, but he had all these people on board, and we're like, this is crazy. So yeah, we signed up on with him. And then we're like, we have to tell this story about these 2 Black founders, and we need an amazing African-American director, because we wanted that story told as honestly and authentically as possible. And so we went through a Rolodex of potential directors, and we met with a few, and Muta Ali was like, we were like, this is the guy. We fell in love with like sort of his, not to make him blush or anything, but the thing that's great about Muta Ali is he's really receptive to hearing things and still has his own thoughts and sticks to them. but is not. There's some directors that are like, I'm only doing it this way and that's it. And that's fine. But we really believe in collaboration and thinking working together, what can we create? And he did that. And because, again, not to jump on his toes, but Muta Ali has done a lot of projects masterfully, but he had never dipped into comedy before. And he had voiced that to us. He said, hey guys, there's a lot of comedy in this. I've never done that. I'm like, that's okay. We do comedy. We could walk you through that. And by the end of it, he was like, basically a comedy down pat. So
no, and I think I really enjoyed working with you, Archie and David, and it's been a great process. I feel like I always lean toward like intense and serious stuff. And to kind of have that sort of mix between that with the comedy, the serious and the comedy, I think we're right on the fence there. This film does the trick where it's serious, but it's also fun to watch. And so I'm excited. I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that.
I want to say one thing. I had a friend who was a huge Movie Pass advocate too, and it's the guy on the screen here. And I remember, so when we first started getting the podcast rolling, we were going to see movies all the time. We were reviewing basically anything that came out just so we could get content out there. And I remember us at the movies one day doing like an event, for the movie theater so we could get free tickets and bringing people in. And Brian's like, yeah, there's this thing called Movie Pass and it's $10 and you can go see as many films as you want to. And I'm like, what? Like, how does that even work? So I thought it was some big scam. I never even signed up for it. But I'm going to tell you what, the dudes that were going to see like 15 movies a week, he's one of them. I promise you.
I was not taking it.
If we had known, Muta Ali would have interviewed you if we knew that. We call those guys those were the overeaters.
Yeah.
Right? They were called the overeaters.
So, with that being said with Saba, so I got introduced to it from our good friend Morgan. This was like you guys in the documentary pinpointed how much of like the voice of the audience, like the referral system worked out. It was really viral at that time where it was just people just posting and just talking to each other. Our friend Morgan was at the bar. I have this Movie Pass thing. You should get it. It's $10. You go see whatever you want, this, that, and the other. But we never asked ourselves, how is this possible? And on top of that, like, who is backing this? And I really love the fact that you show the full story, because for me, for everything, it's not, I tell people all the time, it's not a race, it's a marathon. And highlighting, the two wonderful creators that did this and the struggle that they went through. But then on top of that, showing that they were showing caution to the wind. And is that, kind of starting with you, Archie, and then going to Muta over here, is that what really, drove you in? Because a lot of us didn't know why it ended. I mean, a lot of us kind of figured maybe it ended because of the pandemic, and that's probably why. It was just one of those things to where we didn't know how this was legal, let alone possible. But we also, I would say 95% of us did not know the whole backstory on how Stacy and Hammett were just pretty much ran out of their own company that they've been building for years on end.
Yeah, well, I'll let Lee speak to that. But for sure, when I found out that the original owners were both black guys, I actually reached out to a lot of my black friends. I was like, did you know that Movie Pass was created by black founders? They're like, no. And then when Muta Ali we interviewed him, he's like, I was like, this is mind blowing. And that really was where it went. It was yeah. I mean, Muta Ali, please jump in.
No, yeah. To me, when I read Jason Garacio's article from Business Insider and saw the photo of Stacy and Hammett, I was like, holy cow, I did not know they were black. I had heard of Movie Pass in 2018, but by the time someone was telling me about it, they couldn't tell me what it cost or how many movies I could see. And I was like, this sounds really, really like shaky. So I didn't sign up.
Because the shenanigans was already happening? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. That's it was going downhill. And when I saw that it was created by two black founders, it struck me on many levels, because it's not often that you see two black founders operating on that $100 million level, right? And having a product in the tech space that's caused such a buzz that I heard about it inadvertently. And I come from a little bit of an engineering background. I went to engineering undergrad. I went to Georgia Tech for grad school. I got a patent for something for IBM research and stuff like that. And I know Black people who are in the VC space who go through hell trying to just get like $1 for their things. And to me, they're sort of heroes. So to see but no one on Stacey and Jame's level. So to see them, I was like, oh, wow. Like I would love to play a role where I could help tell a story and shed light on their journey. And then on top of that, for the journey to be full of crazy characters. I know people are really loving to hate certain characters in the film, and full of a lot of millions of dollars spent at Coachella and all sorts of crazy decisions. I'm like, okay, yeah, I really want to jump on board and join with Archie and everybody and tell this story, you know?
Yeah. And just for go ahead, Archie, go ahead.
Sorry, no, just to jump in on that. And this is like next level, but what Muta Ali did such a great job. Forget about the documentary, which is we're all proud of, to market the film. And Muta Ali was like the strongest, he was like, we have to do this. We didn't want to give away because they were like, oh, we're going to show them in the poster, the two owners are like, no, we wanted that reveal. Right. And it's so many people have responded to that with like anger and like, I think that to me speaks to so much. Again, it's hard to do that. It's hard to convince a buyer like HBO because they want to market like, okay, this is so obvious. Let's get this out there. It's like, no, let's pull the rug from beneath the viewer and be like, so like 15, 20 minutes in, which again, he did a great job in just enough time where you're like, whoop, oh no, these weren't the owners. These were the original owners. That to me, in the marketing and everything up to this has been, I think, is a reason why people are really responding in a way that's like, they want to like tear down the house. I mean, they're loving the doc, but they're like, man, those guys got, totally taken for a ride and they're pissed off.
How did that happen? In terms of, was that your vision, Muta Ali, in terms of like what Archie's talking about, how like you see like the happy story and then it's like, but wait, there's more, right? Like how did that, because the way that was, the way that you guys either edited or shot it or whatever, the way it was written on the storyboard, that shit was genius. And I want to hear more about that.
Archie, I thought that was your idea. Like I've been telling you, it's been real collaborative. So like,
it was collaborative. It was definitely, we all thought about it, but when the timing was right, but for sure, Muta Ali, the hard part is again, because we tested so many things out. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's we tested it the other way. We tested it starting with Stacey and Jame. And the tricky part is that some people knew that they were the founders. Okay. And some people didn't know anything about MoviePass. So it was like, how do you draw the balance between those two audiences that come from two different directions? And also, how do you honor the fact you're telling a story about two Black founders? How can you downplay them without being disrespectful? How can you keep them in the story without people knowing that they were in the right and that they know what they're talking about because they speak so eloquently, like they know what they're talking about. And everyone we interviewed from the staff spoke highly of Stacey and Jame. Yep. So we once we decided to do that, we had to rely on editing and having a sensitivity toward whether or not we're representing Stacey and Jame in a good light without overplaying our tipping our hand and letting people know, oh no, these guys must be the founders, the way that they're talking. So I think we worked a lot on that. I think it took us a year to get the balance on it or something like that.
And then it was screening it with, Stacey and Jame, and we were like, and they were like, we were like on pins and needles because exactly what they're saying is like, we don't want to, these guys are, first of all, I'm not trying to blow smoke up their ass, but they're two of the nicest, smartest men I've ever met in my life.
Very impressive.
I mean, they're incredibly generous. The fact that and that makes it even more angrier that they got, screwed. Yep. And when they were like, they loved it. They were like, this is so powerful. That we were like over the moon. Those were the two guys that were like, the fact that they were like, this is great, guys. That really gave Muta Ali and the rest of us like, okay, that was the right decision,
Yeah.
Sure. Bring home Bob Marley, One Love, now on 4K disc and digital. Celebrate the life and music of an icon who inspired generations through his message of love, peace, and unity. Film critics are calling One Love the perfect movie at the perfect time and go over 50 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage and deleted scenes. Available at participating retailers. By Bob Marley, One Love on 4K disc and digital today. Rated PG-13 from Paramount Pictures.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask.
Let me say, hold on, Brian. Let me say one more
go
thing. I think what's even more impressive, Stacey gets a little emotional there at the end, but Hammett, like, just very impressive, smart dudes that, you know what I mean? Like they walked into the Lions Den because they got to talk about their biggest failure. You know what I mean? They walk into the Lions Den in front of the camera and like they tell the story so eloquently and still so just keep such a positive spin on it, man. Like it's a fucking sad story, but you walk away almost feeling, you know, like they describe it, where it's like, you know, we learned a lot from this. This has been a great opportunity of our lives, you know, all that. Like you almost walk away like, oh, okay, like these dudes have found the silver lining on this cloud and they've come out of it better. And that to me was like the big takeaway. It's like, this is one of the biggest fucking scams out there that's running, and these dudes are better off for it. How does that work? Right.
Well, I feel like I know what you're saying, and I agree. They, I think, have had a chance to process it,
sure,
in a way that as a director, I part of me wishes they had it. I wish that I had them like snotting and crying and all this stuff like that. But another part of me thinks about Black culture in this way: that if you're showing, I'm not trying to be like just talking about men, but I'm just talking about men at this point. If you're showing Black men in a vulnerable, compromised position, it better be worth it. You better have a real reason to do it, other than to have people just look at it as a spectacle. Oh, look how crushed they were. Yeah, and so I made a deliberate effort to avoid just casually showing them in a compromising position. And luckily, at the point where we did shoot the full interviews, they were, I think, a little bit conscious of how they wanted to represent themselves. These guys they're business leaders.
Yep.
And I think they trusted us to tell a story about a failure.
Yeah.
And I mean, what type of trust does that take? Like, you're going to put in front of millions of people the story of me failing, and I'm going to trust you to not make me look stupid like people in all these other documentaries. They trusted us. So when it comes to their position emotionally, it's true. I feel like they have gotten past it and they're better people. I also feel like we were careful to make sure that we didn't try to play them, which I think is sometimes necessary when people are opening up to you, you know. So.
Well, I mean, 1,000%. I mean, the realness about this documentary, which, you know, this is a tribute to both of you, Archie, you know, everything that you both have done, and, you know, Cassius X, all that stuff too, Moots. I mean, there is an authenticity to what you both do, to where when I'm watching, whether if it's on an unrealistic idea, property, or one of your documentaries, I don't see favoritism. I just see realism, which is what people want at the end of the day. Like, just cut it to us straight at the end of the day. And that's what I was talking to a business owner, African-American business owner, over the weekend, who watched it. Because, I mean, that's been the one thing out of my mouth since I watched it over the weekend. Have you watched Movie Pass, Movie Crest? This shit is insane. And, you know, he's like, yeah, he was like, it was great. But, you know, as an African-American, like, I'm mad. Like, they got over on these dudes. I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's the story behind it. But at the same time, too, I think a lot of it is how much work goes into something like this, and how much the two original founders were so much appreciated. And it just takes something, you know, board membership or whatever it may be, to completely mess up a business. And then when they were unfortunately, you know, pushed out, they had a year before they could cash out. And I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, it's just like Hamid said. He was like, you know, I don't want to cash my check until it's in the bank account. And then unfortunately,
don't count it till it's in my account. Yeah. You know, one thing is the people online are taking it to a certain place when it comes to their judgment of like the people who took over MoviePass. And I get it, but I do feel like we were balanced. There was a lot that we could have put in there too. Yeah. That was even worse, you know? So
sure.
Yeah, like I think we did our best to be as balanced as possible, you know?
Comedian and actress Nikki Glasser is back in her second hour-long HBO special, Nikki Glasser, Someday You'll Die, now streaming on Max.
How did you get Mitch
Yeah,
Lowe to be in this movie?
That was
so
my next question.
Archie, go ahead. I cut you off. My bad, man. But like,
no. I was gonna go. You can go ahead, Mute Ali. I was gonna. It's all good.
Well, it ends with you kind of. So like, he was promoting a book. This is before he was indicted, right?
Right.
And he had this book. I forget, something like a disruptor. I don't know the name of it, but he was positioning himself in a book as like a great disruptor in whatever Hollywood movies and stuff. And through the efforts he was making to promote the book, he crossed paths with Jason Gracio, who wrote the MoviePass articles for Business Insider. Jason, I think, reached out to you, Archie, and said, "Do you want me to try to see if he'll do an interview with y'all because it's from his book," something like that?
Yeah.
And
it's a little.
What happened next?
It's slightly. So it's a law. Remember Clubhouse? It was like an app where you could like talk to people.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah,
that's messed up. We have to say, remember it? It was just
no kidding. That's the next doc we got to do. Remember Clubhouse?
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Why did that go south? So I got connected on Clubhouse on with I'm not going to name the other people, but it was like 3 people, very big Hollywood money people. I have no idea how I got connected with them. And Mitch Lowe was on there too. And I was like, oh shit. And I'm like, hey, Mitch, we're doing a documentary on MoviePass. We'd love to interview you. And he said, oh, I really can't do it. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. So he turned me down. But then, yes, you're exactly right, Mute Ali. Jason came around again and was like, hey, I could connect you. So I just texted Mitch because I already had his number through Clubhouse. And so I was like, on Clubhouse, I was like, hey, Mitch, do you want to do it? He goes, yeah, I'll do it. I'm promoting my book. So that's kind of those two things together. He wasn't some random person. And so that's how we ended up doing it. And then, yeah.
The best part, though, is how we did it, in my opinion. And I think I made the call, but we all agreed but we ended up doing it, that I shouldn't be in the room. I feel like, I'm 6'2", I'm damn near 300 pounds. I'm a big dude. Mostly you can tell I'm black, so people can't tell, but I'm African-American, right? And I feel like if I sat in a room across from Mitch and start grilling him about what looks like his actions taking a company away from 2 black people, he might be a little bit like, he might put on the mask like, oh yeah, I really care about diversity and inclusion. I don't know. I don't know him though. So this is just my opinion. If anybody's trying to judge me for what I'm saying, to avoid that possibility, I was on board with someone else interviewing him, and Archie's done probably 1,000 interviews in his life. I don't know. Archie met him in Vegas, and so we were all on Zoom and on a text chat with the questions and everything. And Archie actually did the face-to-face, so there was I think it made Mitch feel more natural. You know what I'm saying? But the indictment, charges came a week after, right? He was charged a week after.
A week?
Oh my God!
Wasn't it?
It was like, let's get this skinny, nerdy white guy to interview.
Disarming is the word, Archie. Disarming.
Well, first of all, disarming. By the way, Mute Ali is like a physical specimen. If I give him a hug, it's like I'm hugging his waist. The dude's like fucking 7 inches taller than me. I look like, but he, it was a great call by Mute Ali because it was just like, and again, back to the Clubhouse thing. Yeah. We had already connected a little bit. So it was like, oh, I know this guy. And again, we weren't even probing that much. It wasn't like he kind of wanted to say his piece. And what he was saying was like, really? You're saying this stuff? Okay.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it felt like.
He was on like a Zen. I feel like he was kind of making peace with his life and the decisions he made. And I appreciated that. By the end of the interview, I was like, oh, okay. That seemed like he was being honest with us,
that brings me to my next question too. I mean, let's just say we have the money. Could you two really blow through $250 million in a year? And if so, I mean, what would it be on? I'm just curious. I'm like, I just want like $1 million, like 250 mil. I don't know what I'd have to spend my money on besides just multiple yachts.
That's what I would get. I want $100 million yacht because I love to travel and I love to stay at home. And I'm like, I just put me on a yacht with the full bar and my people and I'm good. Like, but $200-something million, that's a lot of money. That's a whole lot of money. I was just told that he was training pilots. I was told he was training pilots and stuff like that. Or like it was for real. Like he was gonna start an airline.
Wow.
I remember you were like, "This isn't real," and then we found it out. You're like, "No, this shit is real." I mean, the thing is, there's so much. It easily could have been like a 3-parter, four-parter. Yeah. There was so much to cover, so that's why Muta Ali did a really great job in boiling it down to its essence. But there was a lot of stuff that was on the cutting floor that was craziness. You're like, real? Oh my God. Like bonkers. There's a whole section of, because the Gotti movie got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, but there was an entire campaign led by MoviePass to actually try to get, like, put fake reviews in and things like that. This whole other scandal, but it would have been like there's so many other like subsections of things that happened, and it was like, we just gotta kind of keep it.
Yeah, with Ted bought Movie Phone or through AOL or something like that. He bought. It was a lot of crazy stuff, and it's in Stacey's book, so I could say it. Mitch had tried to like take over MoviePass before Chris Kelly brought him in as CEO, but there was no room to put it. If you look at Stacey's, I'm not trying to like promote everything explicitly, but I hear the book is great. I actually read it; it is great. But my point is that in there, he talks about how there was this sort of hostile attempt to take over MoviePass way before Mitch became CEO, which was like, that's one of the things we cut out for time and for other reasons that make me feel like, oh, if we had that in, people would really hate some of these guys,
That's the gold right there, baby. You heard it here first on Zero Dark Nerdy.
The director's cut coming out next year.
Right.
Yeah. Before I get to that final question too, it is great how you wrap it up with Stacey buying back the company. I mean, it's devastating, your money in stocks go down that much, but to come back and do this, but most importantly, thank you so much, Muta, in terms of just representing a lot of us minorities out there that are trying to start a business and the struggle that it is and what a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. On top of that, and Archie, you as well. I mean, this thing has opened up so many people's eyeballs. It's not so much like, oh my gosh, I was just kind of wondering what happened to MoviePass, to holy crap, like this is insane. Like what happened to these two guys. And I always tell people it's a marathon. It's not a race. Like MoviePass did not happen overnight. This is something that these two gentlemen have done for years on end, just to have it swipe from under them. And then even when they got fired, still with the promise of hopefully the stock options didn't come through. So, thank you so much for.
Well, the thing that's so discouraging is, especially read on social media, it's like, this happens all the time. You know what I mean? We just happen to be able to tell this story. That's the pathetic thing.
Right.
But we are proud that at least we could shine a light on this story, so that hopefully down the line, it's, one black entrepreneur will get it over the finish line, whatever, any little thing. Because this thing, like these guys, that's what clearly the documentary does a great job of, but these are incredible professional guys. It's not like, oh, I just came up with this kooky idea and I don't know what I'm doing and I need someone to shepherd it through. They were the right guys to shepherd it through. They just didn't, again, it was, that to me is like, we're proud of that. And obviously Muta Ali, that's why we wanted him as the director, because we knew how important that message was to get across. And he did a beautiful job in not like being pedantic about it or being so on the nose about it, but in a really graceful way that resonates with people instead of forcing it on them. It was just like, lets it wash over them.
Without a doubt.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess I'm gonna give my flowers too, since everybody else is. I mean, look, for anybody that's listening to the podcast, the fans out there, it's 90 minutes. It's quick, and it goes quick, and it's brilliant storytelling. It's to the point. It allows the viewer to you don't point the finger, right? It allows the viewer to make their mind up, and you know, you got big things in your future, man. I'm looking forward to seeing more from you. And Archie, this is just one more, man. You know, unrealistic idea. You guys, unrealistic ideas, man. You guys just don't miss, man. And as fans of you guys, we appreciate both of you so very much for the work that you do, for entertaining us, for entertaining our fans, and quite frankly, for coming on this little podcast that we have. You know, Archie, you specifically, just continuing to support what we do, man. We thank you guys so very, very much for everything that you've done.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate speaking with you.
Yeah, you guys have been, you know, fans, and I consider you guys friends now, and, you know, love what you guys are doing. And we obviously are excited to do more projects with Muta Ali in the future. We've talked about a couple things. We're just trying to figure out what that would be, but it was a great collaboration. And get the word out if you haven't seen it yet. Movie Pass, Movie Crash. Let's tackle Dune. Let's take it down.
Let's do it.
Number one.
Let's do it. I definitely do not see this being the last collaboration between you two, and that's what makes me even more excited. Right. So hang out with us for just a little bit. I'm gonna.
Yeah! Victory! And anger management? Fuck anger management.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
Hey, it's Michelle Beadle. That's right, the Michelle Beadle. You're welcome. You love talking about sports. I love talking about sports. You know the only thing cooler than talking about sports? Sports! And right now, all your favorite sports are on SiriusXM. I'm talking every NFL game, every game from the NBA, NHL, MLB, every NASCAR race, golf major conference college sports, and all the top games in the WNBA. If it gets your heart pumping, it's on SiriusXM. To start your free trial of SiriusXM today, visit SiriusXM.com/believe.